Hi there, I'm Greg, the Masked Gamer, and today we're going to go through my top 10 games to play solo. Solo gaming is a great COVID cautious, safe activity that you can do, and you can also play solo games even if you're not COVID cautious. Today I'm obviously filming by myself since we're talking about solo content, so I'm going to take my mask off. Oh, I don't have a mask on anymore. And we're going to go through my top 10 solo games. I'm also want to start this off with some honorable mentions, if you will, that didn't quite make the list for one reason or another. So we're going to do those first, and then we're going to go through the top 10. So, first game that I want to talk about, Marvel United. Marvel United gets a honorable mention for me for solo gaming. The reason why this is not on my top 10 is because it's a game that's kind of gotten a little too simplistic for me, even though I own a ton of it. I don't really play it that much anymore. This is a great entry level or gateway game. If you are new to board gaming or you have a friend who's new to board gaming, Marvel United is a really, really, really great introduction to the hobby. It's simple, it's quick to pick up, it plays in like 30 minutes once you know what you're doing, and the art is just adorable. It's a game that is a boss battler, meaning that you work together to take down an evil supervillain while you're a bunch of superheroes. And it's also what we call a pandemic-style game, not because of the COVID pandemic, but because of the board game pandemic, where you're a group of scientists trying to abort a plague by each trying to stop it from spreading in different areas, and you do the same thing here, except with the supervillain's tactics. So that is Marvel United, this specifically being the X-Men core box. There's also an Avengers core box and a Spider-Geddon core box. And this gets honorable mention as a great gateway game that you can also play by yourself. Next, honorable mention on my list is Veil Wraith. Veil Wraith is a solo-only, solitaire-esque dark fantasy game. I absolutely love the gameplay of this. The reason why it doesn't make my top 10 is because the base game comes with only 5 scenarios, and then there's another 15 scenarios in an expansion. And those scenarios get very, very challenging, very, very fast. I think I tried the 8th one, 9 or 10 times before I gave up, and I never finished the game itself. That all said, I do want to mention Veil Wraith because from the same publisher and built on this basic system is a new solo or co-op game called Creel Manor that is coming out later this year that I'm very excited to see arrive, that's supposed to take some of the mechanics of Veil Wraith and create more of a story around them. So that game, I sense, might crack the top 10. That is why Veil Wraith gets an honorable mention. Next honorable mention, this is a new game to my repertoire, Cthulhu Death May Die. I avoided this one for a long time because it looks very similar to Marvel United, being that it's a simplistic game setup. Even though I love all things Lovecraft and horror, I eventually gave in and got it. It's an absolute blast. I really love it. I probably won't play it much after the first few months. That said, I did just buy 3 expansions for it, so we'll see what happens. This plays 1 to 5 players. If you play as one person, you have to control 2 people. And it's kind of like just a dice-chucking, kill the cultists vibe. Super cute. I think if I played it multiplayer, I'd like it more. As a solo game, it doesn't make the top 10. Next, 2 more honorable mentions to go. The first is Lord of the Rings, Journey to Middle-earth. I got this one because it was on sale. I was really happy I did. It's a campaign game. I played through the entire campaign. There's also expansions you can get with other campaigns to play. I think, like some other games, I would probably like this more multiple player. I played it with 2 heroes solo. And the reason why this doesn't make the top 10 is because one of the cooler mechanics of it is how you utilize your deck and reshuffle pretty much every turn using your deck, both for abilities and for skill tests. The thing is when you're controlling more than one character, that's an awful lot of consistent, non-stop reshuffling, which slows the game down. And that's why I really haven't bought more of this and gotten into it more since the basic campaign. But I do want to give it honorable mention. I really enjoyed it while I was playing it. The final honorable mention is a new monstrous game that's getting some very, very, very bad reviews. It's upside down. Dawn of Madness. Dawn of Madness is setting out to capture kind of a Silent Hills-esque vibe in a board game format. The narrative of this game is so good. It is so horror. It is so messed up. It is nightmare-inducing. As someone who watches a horror movie a day, I audibly said "ew" several times while playing it. The reason this does not make the list is because the fastest I have played this game so far is 6 hours and 40 minutes. That's a really long game. And it's fine when I'm by myself and I can set it up and leave it up overnight, but it also kind of detracts from the story flow when you take a break. A lot of elements of the gameplay itself are very fiddly, but the narrative and the art and the setting is just so right up my alley that I have to give this one an honorable mention. All right, so that's it for the honorable mentions. Now we are going to go through my current top 10 solo board games. First on the list is a brand new one, Leviathan Wilds. I completely missed the Kickstarter for this. I saw it on many people's top 10 lists on YouTube, and I was like, what is this game? And after hearing more about what it is, I went wild for the idea, found a copy on eBay, paid some extra money, and I have it. And it's immediately on my top 10. You play as a bunch of climbers who are climbing a giant monster, trying to break crystals that have poisoned the monster's mind and free it. As a solo player, you control two characters. This is the case with a lot of games like this. It's ostensibly a boss battler. It has that same kind of, the enemies will give you a random set of AI attacks that you need to like learn what the monster does in order to conquer it. It looks super cute. It's very easy to teach. It's very hard to master. I was rocking and rolling through the first few of these Leviathans, and then I had to switch to easy mode. I've done, I think, 9 of the 17 that come with the base box so far. There is a reprint that's going to be launching soon on, I think, Kickstarter. Maybe it's GameFound, but I think it's Kickstarter. That is going to also have a whole bunch of, maybe not a whole bunch, but it's going to have a few new climbers and new Leviathans as well, and I'm definitely going to get the new content for this. Absolutely love it. Can put it in a box, can take it with me to the park, to play at the park with a friend. You know, it's great purchase. So glad it exists. Love it. Number 9 on my list is a very large game. Primal the Awakening. This is one of the 6 boxes that I have. The other boxes are smaller than the main box. This is a game with giant miniatures, so big, so terrifying, so spiky that I cut myself on the plastic minis. I haven't played the Monster Hunter board game, but what I hear is this is a better version of it. This is a boss battler if there ever was one. Giant monsters to take down. You have to do a combination of deck building and card synergies, and players interrupt each other. Again, you play it with 2 heroes when you play by yourself. I played through the whole base game campaign before adding expansions. I'm going to be doing it 3 players with some of my friends once our schedules work out. They are going to be doing a reprint later this year. If they release more stuff, I'm going to get more stuff. Hopefully with the reprint they'll introduce a version that doesn't have minis and doesn't take up quite as much space, because the minis themselves are really not what make this game shine. It's the card play and the AI of a monster that doesn't have its own turn and only does things based on the choices and decisions that you make, so you have to decide whether you're going to take a risk and trigger an attack or not. Nothing like it in my collection. Absolutely love it. So glad that I randomly got it on a name pledge on it. Primal Awakening. Awesome. Next on my list, coming in at number 8. This is a whole franchise, but I'm going to choose this box. Aeon's End. This is Aeon's End Legacy. I only currently own Aeon's End Legacy and Legacy of Gravehold. I did play the original Aeon's End, a copy of a friend, when it first came out many years ago, but it was like during a period of time when board gaming wasn't my main hobby, so I didn't really get in on it. Now I've just ordered the whole mess with their latest Kickstarter. This is a game that was a boss battler before we started saying boss battlers. It is not a board game version, it's a deck building game, but what makes Aeon's End so unique as a deck building proposition is you do not shuffle your deck. So the order in which you play and discard your cards is the order in which they're going to come up the next time. So the depth of strategy and really trying to pace yourself with putting new cards into the deck, when they're going to come up, so on and so forth, gets very, very intense. And Aeon's End Legacy is a great way to learn this game. The Legacy experience for this starts off so simple and adds on more and more with each battle. I literally opened this box and played through the entire thing in 3 days flat. I stopped watching TV, loved it, couldn't get enough of it, considering getting the restart pack to do it again. Can't wait for the whole collection to arrive. Strong recommend on Aeon's End. Coming in at number 7, Too Many Bones. This is another franchise game. It's got these adorable things called gearlocks, which are kind of a mix between an elf, a goblin, and a gnome-ish kind of thing. The writing in this game is so cute and so funny. There's such a great sense of humor to it. You can play this one true solo. It's definitely harder when you play with just one hero than with more than one. And, some of the heroes are harder to play true solo than others. The reason why this doesn't get as much playtime as my table is it's very, very complex and it takes a lot of time to set up. There's tons of boxes for it, but luckily I have what they call a trove chest coming in that they release sometimes for special holiday sales that'll put everything in one box, and I'm hoping to play it more. The way this works is you advance your character by assigning dice to a dice grid, and then you can use a certain number of dice each round to do different things, and each character's got their own set of 16 unique dice and build styles to put together to kind of form your character progression. And currently I think it's the only thing on the market that's really like that for my taste. It does sound like Grim Coven is going to take some elements of Too Many Bones and maybe streamline it a little bit. That's coming out next year and is currently fundraising on GameFound, so I'm really excited for Grim Coven. I'm expecting that to make this list when it comes out. But Too Many Bones, very heavy game, but if you're into heavy games, you're going to love this. Number 6 on the list, an oldie but a goodie, Arkham Horror, the Living Card Game. This game, I know it's not higher on my list, but that's because I like playing this game with other people, but it is still great solo. In terms of a game that I play with a group, this is my favorite game to play with a group of people that enjoy it. I must be on my 6th or 7th different group that I've played this game with and played through the beginning campaigns with, and it never gets old, it never gets boring. It comes with these compact 8-scenario campaigns that you can purchase separately. Each of them progresses inevitably forward towards darkness and the end of the world. If you lose a scenario, you just go to the next one, except now maybe your house is burnt down, maybe you have a curse, maybe something else terrible is happening. And it's a game that's really about the journey rather than the result. And the sheer, if you like games like Magic the Gathering, where you build cards from a collection, the collection of cards that you're going to find for Arkham Horror are wild. And it's a living card game, meaning that you always know what you're going to get when you buy a box or a card pack. It's not that, I have to keep buying things to find a booster. You can collect the whole thing. Playing it solo for the first few campaigns works out very well, but as you get to the more advanced ones, not having a second brain to think around it, I will say the last 3 campaigns that came out, I didn't play the most recent one, Hemlock Vale, yet, but Scarlet Keys, Edge of the Earth, Innsmouth Conspiracy, I just lost terribly. Doing it by myself was just too much for me. But the base game in the first few campaigns, so fantastic for solo. Love Arkham Horror. I think I've lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5 on the list, the Final Girl franchise. Final Girl is another solo-only game. It's modular, meaning you have a base set, you choose a killer, you choose a location, and then you try to kill that killer at that location before it kills you. Game sets up really fast. You can set it up in like less than 10 minutes. It plays in less than a half hour. It's so on point with the theme. You lose all the time. It's so luck-based, which is one of the things I usually don't like in a game, but in this, it's just great because you're a girl and you're getting stalked by Hans the Butcher or Dr. Fright, who is really Freddy Krueger with a pitchfork. And they have 2 full series of these right now. The third one is currently in production, is going to ship shortly. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Absolutely love this game. If you like horror stuff and you want to get into solo gaming, Final Girl is the must-have in your collection. It should be there. All right, that's Final Girl. Then we have Return to Dark Tower. There was a Dark Tower game in the 80s? In the 80s, I think. I mean, I had it as a little kid. I don't remember it, but I remembered liking it. Return to Dark Tower is now a Bluetooth-enabled electronic tower that goes in the center of your table, and the monster and all the bad things in this game are controlled by the app. It kind of has that pandemic game style theme where you're trying to prevent skulls from destroying the various buildings around. You can play this true solo. It's also simplistic enough that it's easy to play as 2 players on your own. The replay value with the different villains and the different kinds of abilities that the heroes have is really great. The only demerit to this game is it's a table hog. If you do not have a very large table, you're going to have a really hard time playing this. But if you do have the table space, it's fun to play solo. It's another one that's really easy to teach and learn. Everybody who I have had played this game has been like, when can we play Dark Tower again? When can we play Dark Tower again? They all love it. Really, really great game. I think you can buy it directly from Restoration Games, but I think not all of the expansions are available. But you don't really need the expansions for this one. That's Return to Dark Tower coming in at number 4. Number 3 is another game from the same makers as Arkham Horror, the card game. Now we have Marvel Champions, the card game. Marvel Champions is a game that I don't like as much as Arkham Horror, but I like Marvel Champions more solo than Arkham Horror. It just is more compact in the rule set, and you're more able to like take in everything going on the table by yourself, even when you're controlling 2 separate heroes. Every single hero for this game feels so much like their comic book counterpart. They play so uniquely, and at this point in time, I don't want to try to hazard a guess. I'm going to try to hazard a guess and say they probably have 40 or more heroes at this point in time, and they are just showing no signs of slowing. I still have not started anything from the X-Force cycle. I still have not started anything from the Age of Apocalypse cycle. I've just got so many other games I don't get to play this as much as I would probably like. But you really, really can't go wrong with it. It's easy to learn at first, and then it gets more and more complicated as you add some expansions onto it. Just one word of advice. If you are going to get into Marvel Champions, get the base game, get Rise of the Red Skulls, skip the Guardians of the Galaxy. Just skip it. It should not be the second expansion. It should be the 25th expansion. It's so complicated. It's so hard. There's so many people who got this, loved it, played Red Skull, thought Red Skull was a little too easy, went on to get Guardians of the Galaxy, got smashed, and never played the game again. And the expansions after Guardians of the Galaxy are much easier than it. I mean, get it if you want to play as Groot or Rocket Raccoon, but don't touch that campaign until you're much more experienced at it. But this is a really, really fantastic game. If you know the Marvel characters and you like them, you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe how much like Gambit that felt. You're going to be like, wow, I can't believe that cool mechanic they used for Shadowcat, etc., etc. It's just full of wow moments. Really, really great to play solo. 2 left. What do you think they are? My second favorite solo game. I'm going to preface this with saying I'm a theme person, right? I like horror games. I like fantasy games. I like superhero games. I hate everything in outer space. I hate sci-fi movies. I hate Dune. I hate Star Wars, Trek, whatever star thing it is. My second favorite game to play solo is Unsettled. In Unsettled, You're in outer space. It's a space game. Yeah. You're a group of scientists, or two scientists if you're playing by yourself, who are lost in a wormhole in a galaxy, and you land on various unsettled planets, and your goal is to not die. Try not to die is the tagline of the game. There's no fighting in it. It's all about exploring the planets that you're in and discovering how to make the things that will kill you work for you in order to survive. Each planet has its own little individual box with its own little individual rules that add on to the base rules of the game, and 3 to 4 different scenarios. So just because you happened to figure out how to survive on the planet with the toxic spores, if you go there again, it's going to be a completely different planet with a completely different thing to achieve, and you're probably going to die. You die a lot in this game. I've played through every planet that exists, at least one task on them. 2 of them I haven't been able to complete a single task on yet. This is also another game that's really popular with people to play it multiplayer, but you can definitely play it solo and have a great time. There's such an amazing sense of discovery. The same company has another solo game coming out later this year called Spirit Fire. I backed it. I really have no idea what it is. I just know it's going to be fantastic because it's by the people who made this game, and I'm so excited for it. And that game will probably end up on my top 10 list. So that's Unsettled at number 2. So the grand prize of my favorite game to play by myself is a very interesting one as well. So this is a sequel. You might have seen it off frame. So this is a sequel. The first game, I dug when I first started it, and I gave up like less than halfway through it because I found it too complicated, too grindy, too repetitive, too murky as to what I was supposed to do. And I was like, I don't even want to play this sequel, but I had backed them all at the same time. But this sequel came out, and let me tell you, Tainted Grail, Kings of Ruin is my favorite campaign experience that I have played. I played it through solo, two-handed. You can play this through solo. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend to play with 2 characters. It's easy to manage 2 characters in it. The narrative of this game was just so entrancing and so good. And the amount of paths unseen that I would be like, oh, I wonder what would happen if I did that instead, but I gotta do this is what I gotta do. And just like when the amount of times that you'd be in a battle, you'd be like, there's no way for me to win this battle, I can't win it. And you'll be like, wait, if I do this and then I do that and then this happens and I do this and I do this, I might pull through to the next round, and then it works out. And you kill these giant miniatures that are 3 times the size of your character. The villains are all like, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but the villains are like very 3-dimensional, complex characters that you encounter over and over again before you get to really fight them. I love this so much that I'm like determined to go back and try the original Tainted Grail again. This was a large game. This game took up my life for several weeks. Other games that I really loved fell to the wayside and completely off of my radar altogether while I was playing it. If you can get your hands on a copy of Kings of Ruin, get your hands on a copy of Kings of Ruin. It's the closest thing you're going to get to playing like Dungeons and Dragons without having a Dungeon Master. Like, absolutely brilliant. Love it so much. So, that is my top 10 games to play solo. At some point in time, I'll probably do deeper reviews on some of these. I'll probably do some other top 10 series. Thank you for tuning into my channel. I'm Greg, the Masked Gamer, and don't forget to keep your health bars full.